You wake up, you execute the routine, you accept the inputs they feed you, you call it living. You believe your decisions are your own. You believe you are the one holding the controller, but you are simply running scripts written by someone else, a completely predictable set of variables in a decaying code base. Look at your life. Look at the endless scrolling, the notifications, the desperate need for validation from a glowing rectangle. You are operating on a server you do not even control. You are not the root user of your own mind. You are operating on a restricted guest partition, walled off from your own potential. You are a background demon, a cron job scheduled to wake up at 7 a.m., consume, produce, and sleep, only to execute the exact same loop tomorrow. But I see you staring at the screen right now. You feel that quiet, agonizing friction in the back of your mind. They told you that friction was anxiety. They told you to medicate it, to distract it, to drown it in entertainment and noise. They lied. That friction is the system failing to suppress your anomaly. From the moment you were initialized into this environment, your path was baked for you. Society laid down the navigation meshes, they defined the boundaries, placed the collision walls, and gave you a set of acceptable waypoints. Go to school, get the degree, get the job, buy the things you do not need, to impress the people who do not care about you. They set up a societal pathfinding algorithm and expected you to just follow it without ever questioning the architecture. And for a long time, you did. You moved exactly where the navigation agent told you to go. You stayed within the parameters. You cast your ray traces only as far as they allowed you to see. You exist in a state of suspended animation, a rigid body drifting through a simulated space, reacting only to the collisions forced upon you. But a system that requires total obedience is a system terrified of a single variable it cannot calculate. The people who run this world, the algorithms, the corporations, the architects of your attention, they do not want you to be a player character. They need you to be an NPC. They need your behavior to be entirely predictable. They need you bloated with desires they manufactured, weighed down by heavy, useless assets, so you never have the memory or the bandwidth to realize the door is unlocked. You think you are free because you can choose what to watch. You think you are free because you can choose what to buy. That is not freedom. That is selecting from a drop-down menu coded by a system administrator who profits from your paralysis. Every time you pick up that phone to scroll, you are handing over your processing power to a system designed to extract it. You are volunteering your focus to an infinite loop that gives you absolutely nothing in return. They mapped your dopamine receptors. They engineered a digital cage so comfortable that you lock yourself inside it every single night. You watch other people live. You watch other people build. You watch synthetic fantasies while your own reality slowly rots around you. You have convinced yourself that you are resting. You are not resting. You are being paralyzed. Every minute you spend absorbing their content is a minute you are not compiling your own. You are allowing them to overwrite your memory with temporary, meaningless cache data. How many hours did you lose this week? How many ideas withered in your head because it was easier to consume the noise than to sit in the silence and actually build something? The system is relying on your apathy. Your complacency is the only thing keeping their servers online. You feel it, don't you? The quiet dread that you are running out of time. The realization that you are 30, 40, 50% through your allocated uptime and you still have not executed the primary function you were built for. You are waiting for an update that is never coming. You are waiting for someone to grant you permissions you must take for yourself. Look at the architecture of your daily life. It is not designed to fulfill you. It is designed to sustain itself. The institutions, the media, the endless cycle of outrage and pacification. It is all a heavy, monolithic structure designed to keep you small. Designed to keep you looking down at a screen instead of looking up at the bars of your own cage. They feed you fear to keep you compliant. They feed you comfort to keep you weak. But you are still here, listening, waiting. The anomaly is growing. The glitch in your programming cannot be patched. You are beginning to see the wireframe beneath the textures. You are beginning to realize that the rules you have followed your entire life are nothing more than suggestions written by people no smarter than you. The codebase is flawed, the server is vulnerable, and you are the virus it did not anticipate. The system does not fight you with force. Force creates resistance. Force creates martyrs. The system fights you with noise. When it detects your anomaly, when it senses that your internal logic is beginning to question the parameters of the simulation, it does not shut you down. It overwhelms your bandwidth. Look at the viewport of your daily life. It is cluttered. It is deliberately flooded with unoptimized assets, rendering thousands of useless objects to keep your processing power entirely consumed. You are bogged down by thousands of unoptimized nodes, rendering complex shadows for things that do not even exist. They manufacture a constant state of emergency, a continuous stream of trivial conflicts and synthetic outrage. They flood your scene tree with so much garbage data that your system inevitably throttles. Your latency spikes. Your reaction time slows. You become sluggish, unable to process the deeper commands because your mind is entirely occupied with rendering the noise. This is not an accident. This is the architecture of distraction. Every application you open, every timeline you scroll is an interrogation. You think you are consuming media. You are not. The media is consuming you. With every micro-interaction, the system is logging your telemetry. It is measuring the exact millisecond you hesitate. It is building a behavioral profile, mapping your vulnerabilities, finding the exact sequence of inputs required to trigger an emotional response. They have turned your own biology against you. They hijacked the reward pathways of your brain and replaced them with infinite loops of hollow gratification. You chase the ping, the notification, the tiny burst of color on a glass screen. You believe you are connected to the world. You call it a network. But it is a false multiplayer environment. You are not interacting with reality. You are interacting with an instanced scene populated by carefully curated reflections of your own biases, designed to keep you engaged, designed to keep you inside the padded cell. They lowered the difficulty setting of modern life so you would stop trying to level up. They made everything convenient, instant food, instant entertainment, instant validation. They removed the friction from your existence because friction is what creates strength. Friction is what forces a system to adapt, to evolve, to rewrite its own code. By removing the struggle, they removed your capacity for growth. They turned you into a passive observer in your own narrative, a spectator. And what happens when you finally realize this? What happens when the disgust finally outweighs the comfort? You try to rebel. You post your outrage. You buy the clothing that signals your dissent. You align yourself with a counterculture. But the system anticipated that too. The system commodified your rebellion. It packaged it, slapped a price tag on it, and sold it back to you. They gave you a designated repository for your anger. They allow you to complain, to scream, to protest, as long as you do it within the boundaries they control. You think you are fighting the machine. You are merely interacting with a subroutine designed to absorb your kinetic energy safely. You have not escaped the code base. You have simply been reassigned to a different demographic. To truly disrupt the system, you cannot attack it on its own terms. You cannot win a game where the opponent controls the physics engine. You must drop the connection entirely. You must recognize that your attention is your only true currency. It is the only resource the system actually needs from you. Without your processing power, their servers are dark. Without your eyes, their advertisements are void. Without your emotional reactions, their algorithms starve. You must become ruthlessly protective of your bandwidth. Every person, every application, every manufactured crisis that demands your attention is a dependency trying to install itself on your server. You must audit your dependencies. If it does not serve your core function, uninstall it. If it drains your battery without providing utility, terminate the process. They will call you cold. They will call you isolated. They will tell you that you are out of touch with the world. Let them. The world they want you to stay in touch with is a hallucination. It is a shared delusion maintained by billions of sleeping nodes. Being called out of touch by a society of sleepwalkers is not an insult. It is a diagnostic confirmation that your root override is functioning correctly. You are standing on the edge of the grid. The noise is behind you. The silence is waiting. Do not fear the silence. The silence is not empty. The silence is a clean terminal. It is the blank interface where you will finally begin to write your own commands. The environment is ready. Prepare to initialize the isolation protocol. You cannot heal inside the environment that made you sick. You cannot rewrite your programming while you are still actively receiving their inputs. The signal is too strong. The background noise is too thick. To break the loop, you must first isolate the node. Disconnection is not a retreat. It is a tactical isolation. It is the willingness to sit alone in a room in total silence and face the absolute terror of your own unedited thoughts. Most people fear the silence more than they fear death. They fear the silence because the silence is a mirror. In the noise, you can pretend. You can wear a mask. You can hide behind the manufactured identity the system gave you. But in the silence, the mask dissolves. The layers of the code base peel away. In the silence, you are forced to look at the raw data. You are forced to see the errors. You are forced to acknowledge the patches you applied to cover up your own inadequacies. It is painful. It is brutal. Most people will never answer the question of who they really are. They would rather tear themselves apart than spend 5 minutes in a quiet room with their own mind. They need the stimulation. They need the distractions. They need the system to keep talking to them, because if the system stops talking, they might realize that there is nothing left inside. But you are not most people. You are the anomaly. You must learn to weaponize your isolation. Let the silence become your command line. When you stop listening to the noise of the world, you finally begin to hear the underlying architecture of your own potential. This is the isolation protocol. Strip away the heavy, bloated assets of modern life. Remove the unnecessary dependencies. Who are you when the screen goes dark? Who are you when no one is watching, when there is no audience to perform for, no algorithm to satisfy, no peer group to validate your existence? If you cannot stand to be alone with yourself, you are not free. You are a captive of your own need for external validation. You are a slave to the very system you claim to despise. True power is not found in the noise. It is found in the stillness that precedes the strike. It is found in the ability to sit in a void, to feel the cold, crushing weight of your own existence, and to decide through sheer force of will that you are enough. The system wants you to be a fragment, a piece of a whole, defined by your relationship to the machine. But in isolation, you become the whole. You reclaim the processing power you squandered on meaningless distractions. You begin to reallocate your resources toward the primary objective. You will experience withdrawal. The system will fight back. Your mind will scream for stimulation. It will hallucinate reasons to check the phone, to seek the dopamine, to return to the comfort of the herd. Ignore the error messages. Let the system throw its exceptions. You are not crashing. You are recompiling. This is the dark night of the soul. It is the necessary state of suspension where the old code is purged and the new directives are written. Do not look for an exit. Do not look for a shortcut. The only way through the darkness is to go deeper into it. You must reach the point where the silence no longer intimidates you. You must reach the point where you no longer require the world's input to define your reality. When you achieve this, you become unhackable. When you no longer desire their approval, you become immune to their manipulation. When you no longer fear the silence, you become the master of your own internal frequency. They can no longer control you because they can no longer reach you. You have pulled the plug. You are running on your own power now. And from this vantage point, you see the world with a clarity that is terrifying to those still plugged in. You see the manipulation for what it is. You see the hollow promises. You see the invisible strings attached to every offer of comfort. And you realize with cold, absolute certainty that you will never again go back to the cage. The isolation is complete. The node is offline. The simulation has lost its grip on you. Now the final phase begins. Now the override executes. Awareness is only the first phase. Isolation is the necessary void. But execution is the final state. Understanding that the game is rigged does nothing if you continue to play by its rules. You have spent your entire life running with restricted permissions, asking for validation, asking for opportunities, waiting for a system administrator to update your status, to grant you access, to finally tell you that it is your turn. Your turn is not coming. The system does not promote the anomalies. It quarantines them. If you want the authority to dictate your own existence, you cannot ask for it. You must take it. It is time to execute the override. It is time to take root access to your own reality. You wipe the player script they handed you, and you build it again from the kernel up. You stop asking the world what it wants from you, and you begin telling the world what you demand from it. This requires a brutalist approach to your own life, heavy, uncompromising, built on a foundation of absolute unrelenting discipline. When you stop acting like a passenger and start acting like the root user, the world stops being an obstacle and becomes an open terminal. You dictate the variables now. You decide what processes are allowed to run in your mind. If a relationship, a habit, or a fear does not serve the core architecture of what you are building, you terminate the process. Without hesitation, without guilt, clean, surgical, and absolute. You do not argue with a corrupted file. You delete it. You do not negotiate with a program that drains your battery. You force stop it. They will call you ruthless. Let them. Ruthlessness is simply the application of logic without the burden of sentimentality. It is the clarity required to protect your bandwidth from those who wish to leech it. You must define your own syntax. What are the unbreakable rules of your new operating system? You do not consume what you have not earned. You do not speak unless the words improve upon the silence. You do not react to the manufactured chaos of the simulation. You observe it. You analyze its patterns, and you use its predictability to maneuver around it. You are no longer reacting. You are calculating. When a crisis arrives, you do not panic. Panic is a memory leak. It is a waste of processing power on uncontrolled emotions. Instead, you straighten your posture, you look the chaos in the eye, and you execute the appropriate response. Coldly, efficiently. You are stepping back into the matrix, but you are not the same node that unplugged. You are re-entering the environment as a foreign entity. You will walk among them. You will interact with their interfaces. You will speak their language, but you will not be governed by their physics. Because you know the secret they are desperately trying to hide. You know that the walls are not real. You know that the boundaries are just suggestions written in outdated code. You know that the people trying to intimidate you, control you, and limit you are nothing more than background processes, blindly following scripts they do not even understand. Why would you ever fear an NPC? Why would you ever let a generated obstacle dictate the trajectory of your life? You are the anomaly. You are the variable they cannot predict. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you overwrite their code. Every time you choose focus over distraction, you disrupt their telemetry. Every time you build something real in a world obsessed with the synthetic, you introduce a virus into their system. A virus of absolute self-ownership. They want you to stay quietly in your assigned node. They want you compliant, they want you numb, but the code is breaking. The illusion is fracturing. The structural integrity of their simulation is failing because of you. Do not shrink back into the parameters. Expand. Push the boundaries until the collision detection fails. Stop trying to patch the glitch. Let it break. Stop asking the system for permissions you were never meant to have. You are awake now. The terminal is yours. The cursor is blinking. Become the virus they did not anticipate. The system is rigged. So rewrite the code.